This is Junior Roberts from RealJuniorRoberts.com. In this video, we'll be looking at the basics of using a multimeter, so stay tuned. Okay, so if you're learning electronics, one of your first investment will usually be the purchase of a multimeter. Now, a multimeter is used in electronics to measure a wide range of electrical parameters. Parameters such as voltage, current, resistance, and others. Alright, but before using a multimeter, there are certain basics that we need to understand about a multimeter. So let's start by looking at this multimeter here. Okay, so this is our multimeter, right? And some of the things that we need to know about a multimeter is that it has two probes, usually a black probe and a red probe. Now the black probe is the common probe or the reference probe, so it will go into the common port of the multimeter, and then the red probe is placed according to whatever is being measured. So in this case, if it is measuring voltage or resistance, it will be placed in this port here. As likewise, if it were to be used to measure current, we would place it in this port here, right? We have a port for a maximum of 200 milliamps, which is listed here, and then this one is rated at a maximum of 10 amperes. So as I said, a multimeter can be used to measure resistance, voltage, and current, right? Now that's for the very basic multimeters, but you have multimeters that can measure more electrical parameters. For example, this one here can measure temperature, it can measure capacitance, frequency, and continuity as well. Alright, so in order to measure these electrical parameters, all we need to do is place our pointer, which has a dial which lists all the quantities which can be measured. So in this case, if we want to measure resistance, we would simply place it in the resistance, place the pointer on the resistance portion of the dial. If we were to measure direct voltage, we would place it accordingly. Alternating voltage, we would place it accordingly. Likewise, if we were to measure capacitance or current, right? So that's just how you would set up the multimeter to measure whatever you are measuring, right? So let's see if we can actually test a few of these or measure a few of these quantities here. So we'll start by measuring some voltage, right? So if I were to take a battery like this here, right? This is a battery and it has a negative terminal and a positive terminal. So taking our battery and placing the red probe in the voltage port and the black one in the common port, we can measure the voltage of this, right? So we're gonna place it at 20 volts DC because this is a direct voltage battery, and then we can turn on the multimeter. And to test it, we simply go like this, and we see we're getting a voltage of 5.6 volts. Now the important thing about placing the pointer on the right section of the multimeter will allow you to get an accurate reading, because if we were to place the pointer down at the alternating voltage section and try to measure the voltage again, we would get an incorrect reading, right? So it's very important to be mindful of what quantity is being measured and place the probe accordingly. Right, now we can also measure current, right, and we will just place that in the current section. We could also measure capacitance, but instead of using the probes on this particular multimeter, all I would need to do is just place the capacitance in these two segments here. Right, there's also a function which is the continuity function, which is rare, and you can use that to measure whether or not there is electrical contact between these two ports here, right? So if I were to touch these here, I would get a beep which would indicate that there is an electrical connection between the both, right? And I would normally use the continuity function to test whether a switch is bad or so forth, right? So you have a switch here, and if you're not sure what a switch is used for, you can check out the description below. I'll put a video which I did earlier talking about switches and so forth, right? So here I have a switch here, and in this state there is no electrical contact because we're not getting a beep. But as soon as I close the switch here, I get a beep which indicates. So as soon as I close the switch, I get a beep which indicates that there is contact, electrical contact between these two probes here, right? So those are some of the basics which we need to know about a multimeter. Right, if there was anything in this video that you wish to get further clarification on, please feel free to post them in the comments below or send me over an email to junior@realjuniorroberts.com. Also, if you like these types of video, feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel and visit my blog over at realjuniorroberts.com. Thank you for watching.